Discover the incredible surprise inside my daughter's box. A life-changing message my wife hushed. Michael stepped through the front door, wearied by another relentless day in the whirlwind of marketing strategies and deadline pressure. Just as he expected, the familiar chaos of suburban life wrapped around him like a warm blanket, the laughter of children playing outside blurred with the smell of dinner wafting from the kitchen. But what caught his attention the most was Lily, his spirited 10-year-old daughter, bouncing toward him with the kind of excitement that could light up a room. "Daddy, you won't believe what I found," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. "What is it?" he asked, trying to mask the fatigue in his voice. "A box. An old box in the attic. It's huge and dusty and mysterious," she shrieked, dragging him along, her small hand gripping his tightly. Lily tugged him up the stairs, through the cramped hallway, and into the attic filled with memories of years gone by. The dim light revealed a treasure trove of forgotten artifacts, but it was the box that stole the show. It was big and heavy, covered in decades-old dust, the haunting aura of the past lurking just beneath the surface of its chipped wooden lid. "What's inside?" Michael mused, his heart racing as he finally took hold of the box. The air crackled with anticipation as if the house itself held its breath, waiting for the stories to emerge. With a few swift movements, Lily pried the box open, sending a cloud of dust billowing into the air. Inside lay an assortment of tattered letters, faded photographs of family gatherings, and odd little trinkets, the remnants of lives lived and shared. But what drew Michael's eye was a neatly folded letter, yellowed and crinkled, almost pleading to be read. As his fingers grazed the paper, he felt an unexplainable shiver. It carried a message from his grandfather, a man whose existence had drifted like a ghost in his family's history, whispers of tales only hinted at. The words unfurled a secret of resilience and struggle, roots that intertwined painfully with Michael's own ambitions. Before he could fully process it, Lily bounced over again, excitement mixed with curiosity. "What's it say, Daddy? Is it a treasure map?" Michael struggled to breathe as confusion gripped him. It's something significant," he replied, holding the letter close to his chest, battling the unexpected betrayal that rose beneath pride for the hardships his family faced. The summer night wrapped around them, thick with a sense of impending revelation. He could almost hear the voices of the past echoing through the silence, mingling with the neighborhood's gentle hum. Suddenly, the busy streets and neighborly BBQs felt like a backdrop to a larger story playing out a narrative about identity and belonging. "Dad, what if we could use this?" Lily's bright voice pierced through the introspection. "What if we created a mentorship program? We could help kids like us who need it." Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Michael stared at her, heart racing. Resistance bubbled within him, thoughts colliding with each other. Could he really open up about his family's past? Could they challenge their American dream and be pillars in their community? Yet mixed with uncertainty was the flickering light of hope, a chance for their family to bridge the gap between comfort and courage. As they stood in the attic, the weight of the moment grew heavy, a deep breath caught in their throats. Should they confront the past, risk unraveling their suburban peace, or allow the comfortable silence to reign? The box loomed, laden with the potential to reshape not just their lives, but their entire community. The stakes had never felt higher. Michael felt the thrumming in his chest, like a drumbeat, urging him to make a decision. The attic's shadows danced, twisting and curling around them, as if the very air demanded the truth to be unveiled. He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat almost choking him. "What if I told you this letter is about a part of our family's history that's been buried for too long?" he finally said, looking into Lily's eager eyes. The innocence there, the light sparkling in her gaze, shattered something inside him. "Like a secret?" she whispered, excitement lacing her voice. "A secret?" He let out a shaky breath. "One that comes with a heavy price." Before he could continue, a loud crash echoed from downstairs, slicing through the fragile tension in the attic. The sound reverberated in his mind, pulling him from the moment. What was that? Lily's grip tightened on his hand, confusion etching her face. Michael hesitated, glancing toward the attic door. It felt like a breach in their safe haven, the walls of the past and the noise of the present colliding in an uneasy union. "Stay here," he instructed, his voice low and steady despite the adrenaline pumping through him. "I'm coming with you," Lily insisted, determination in her small frame. Together they crept down the stairs, every creak of the wooden steps echoing the uncertainty that gnawed at Michael. The smell of dinner had faded, replaced by a sharp bite in the air, like the calm before a storm. As they approached the living room, they stopped short. The scene was a whirlwind of chaos. Furniture had been knocked over, toys scattered like fallen leaves. And right in the center of the mess stood Anne, his wife, a fury unleashed. "Who did this?" she yelled into the phone, her brow furrowed, eyes wild. The tension in her voice sent chills racing down Michael's spine. "Mom?" Lily asked quietly, stepping forward, and whirled around, the fire in her expression dimming as she noticed them. It's nothing. Just a call. Sweetheart, come here." She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes, but Michael could see the unease lurking beneath her surface. "Who were you talking to?" he asked, feeling the walls of their lives starting to shudder closed around them. "It's nothing important, I promise," she said, her voice tight. But he recognized the desperate edge in her tone, and it sent a shiver of dread down his spine. Lily stepped closer. "Is it about the box, Mom?" Anne's face dropped, an expression of panic crossing her features. "No, it's about something else. Just forget it. You can't keep hiding things from us." Michael shot back, the weight of all they had stumbled into crashing down. "We found a letter from my grandfather. It talks about family struggles, things we need to know. We can't avoid the past." "Michael," she said sharply, her voice laced with fear, "we are not doing this now. Not here." "But Mom, enough." The single word filled the room like a thunderclap, leaving them breathless. A disruptiveness hung in the air, a promise of confrontation. Suddenly, a loud knock rattled the door, pulling their attention away. Michael's heart raced again, paranoia weaving through him. Who could it be at this hour? "All of this was supposed to be behind us," and murmured, her voice cracking as Michael glanced back at the box hidden in the attic. He felt the weight of secrets pushing against every breath he took. The past wasn't done with them. It hadn't even begun. "Mom, we need to face this," Lily said, the innocence in her tone stark against the somber atmosphere. "Lily, go to your room," and snapped, desperate to shield her daughter from whatever was about to unravel. Michael's resolve deepened, and he moved toward the door. "I'm opening it," he declared. Silence stretched, thicker than the air around them, but as he reached for the knob, a sense of wrongness prickled at the back of his mind. The next moment could change everything. What awaited them behind that door? Was the truth finally ready to spill, or was danger poised to follow? Michael's heart thundered in his chest as he grasped the cold doorknob. What lay beyond could reshape their lives forever. With a deep breath, he turned the knob, pushing the door open with cautious resolve. The hinges squeaked, and then came the blinding light. Street lamps illuminated the porch outside, casting eerie shadows inside. He squinted, the light and the sudden chill colliding like an electric wave against his skin. He blinked rapidly, trying to shake the tight knot of dread in his stomach. Standing on the doorstep was a figure, cloaked in a tattered brown coat. Rain dripped from the brim of a frayed hat shadowing their face, but Michael could make out the sharp outline. A glimmer of recognition ignited inside him, a spark that threatened to explode into flames of emotion. "Uncle Joe?" Michael whispered, disbelief mixing with a rush of dread. Surprised, the voice was ragged and worn, charged with an energy that had long been absent. Joe looked like he had clawed his way through a storm. Mud streaked across his face, his breath coming in short, rasping gasps. "What are you doing here?" Anne's voice was a mix of horror and surprise, her eyes darting between Michael and Joe. I heard you were looking for the truth," Joe said, stepping forward, eyes darting around anxiously. "The letter, it was more than a name. It's dangerous. You need to understand the whole story." "My God," and stepped back, the dread plastered on her face. "You weren't supposed to be here." "Not now. Too late for that," Joe snapped. "If they find out I'm here, it won't just be your past they come for. They'll be all of us." Lily, standing silently behind her parents, watched the scene unfold. The tension in the air thickened, wrapping around them like a vice. She stepped forward, her cherubic face marked with curiosity. What do you mean? Who will come? And what are you talking about? Lily, go upstairs, Michael ordered, his mind racing. This isn't a conversation for you. No. I want to know. She protested, her small voice shaking, laced with bravery. Sweetheart, please, and pleaded. But her words barely formed a barrier against the whirlwind of emotions engulfing them. Lily deserves to know the truth. All of it. Joe's fierce intensity echoed through the dimly lit hallway. He turned to face her, desperation spilling forth. You all need to listen. The secrets in that box are connected to people who will stop at nothing to keep them buried. What did you do? An voice soared, ripping through the tension like a knife. Her facade of control was crumbling, revealing cracks flooded with fear. My job was to protect you, Joe's voice faltered, guilt etching itself deep into his features. But I failed. A shiver swept through the room, and an ominous chill wrapped itself around Michael's heart. The doorway, now wide open, felt like the threshold to a labyrinth of darkness, and he could sense an unseen enemy lurking just beyond the edge of the shadows. What do you mean you failed? Michael pressed, needing clarity in the chaos, the desperation overwhelming him. We need to know. Joe took a wavering breath, the storm of emotion swirling in his gaze. The box, Michael. It's not just a box. It holds not just memories but a key to something bigger. Something that could change everything, and it's not just about your family anymore. What are you saying? An's face drained of color, her eyes narrowing in on Joe's revelations, fear woven tightly with confusion. There's a reason they want this hidden. Because if it comes to light it could destroy everything. The weight of Joe's words hung heavily, each syllable like a stone in the pit of Michael's stomach. Suddenly, the night air felt even heavier, pregnant with danger, a thunderstorm brewing out of sight. And then a rustle behind the door, pulling them all back. The unmistakable sound of footsteps on the porch, moving closer. What did I say? Joe hissed, fear suddenly tangible on his face. They've already come, eyes wide, Michael's mind raced. Who was coming? What drew them here? And just as uncertainty settled like a dense fog, shadow crossed the doorway. The hunter was now the hunted. Get behind me, Michael said, raising an arm defensively, adrenaline kicking in as he prepared to face whatever or whoever pushed into their lives, uninvited. But what they couldn't anticipate was the rage that lay in wait, ready to unleash secrets that would grip them for eternity. The door creaked wider, revealing a dark silhouette against the backdrop of the streetlight's glow. Heart pounding, Michael strained his eyes, trying to decipher the intent behind the shadow. Who's there? He demanded, his voice a thin veneer over the raw fear rapidly surfacing. The figure stepped forward, pulling back the brim of the hat. A pale face emerged, etched with a mixture of authority and malice. Michael's breath hitched. It was a face he recognized from haunted memories, the face of someone who had not just entered their lives, but disrupted them entirely. John, Michael's voice quivered, the name spilling from his lips like an unwanted confession. What do you want? Found you, didn't I? John sneered, his eyes flickering with menace. Behind him loomed two others, faces obscured yet exuding a sense of threat. Michael could feel the air constricting around them, the night transforming from a cloak of safety to a stage for confrontation. Joe shifted, stepping in front of Michael and his family. You shouldn't be here, he warned, voice low but steady. You have no idea what's at stake. On the contrary, John said, a smirk curling at the corners of his mouth. I know exactly what's at stake. He glanced at Lily, who stood frozen with wide eyes, innocence intertwining with the tension crackling in the air. You must be the girl. The one destined to learn the family secrets. Leave her out of this. And shouted, taking a step toward John. Anger propelled her forward, but Michael could see the fear trembling beneath her skin. What's done is done, John drawled, stepping onto the porch, his presence swelling as he dismissively waved a hand. The box you found is more than you imagine. And it's imperative that it stays buried. Why? Michael interjected, the weight of his question echoing through the chaotic air. What do you know? What's so dangerous about it? John's gaze hardened, and for a moment, a shadow passed over his face. Let us just say some truths are best left in the dark. He turned to Joe, an unspoken challenge flickering between them. "You're in way over your head, old man." Then, just as Michael felt the icy grip of dread tighten, a sound shattered the standoff. The unmistakable crack of thunder echoed through the night, a warning shot from the skies. Joe's eyes sharpened. "We don't have time for this. We can't let them find out. Not now." The tension thickened, and for a fleeting moment, everything hung in the balance. Michael realized they were cornered, trapped between a past that refused to die and an uncertain future rapidly closing in. "Go inside," Joe urged, his voice laced with urgency. "I'll handle this. Just get Lily away from here." "No." An desperate protest rang out, a mother's instinct battling against the encroaching darkness. "We face this together." As Michael weighed their options, another flash of lightning split the sky. In that brief flicker, Michael glimpsed the fear in his family's eyes, mirrored in his own reflection. He had to protect them. But from whom? From John. From the secrets looming in the shadows? "Your family," John said softly, his tone suddenly eerily calm. "They're already entangled." A chill crept down Michael's spine. Hope was slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. "Then let us untangle it," Michael snarled, defiance igniting in him. He stepped forward, challenging John, feeling the walls close in. "Let us find out what this is really about." The confrontation was electric, the air heavy with unspoken truths and unresolved pain. The moment hung precariously, on the verge of explosion. What would John reveal? What would be unleashed next? And just as the storm broke overhead, rattling the world around them, Michael had a sinking feeling that whatever happened next would alter their lives irrevocably. Would they survive what was to come? Would they uncover the truth before it consumed them all? Before Michael could process his next thought, the atmosphere shifted. The oppressive weight of John's presence amplified, wrapping around them like a noose. He glared at Joe, who stood resolute, but Michael could see the dread etched across his father's face. "What does that mean, entangled?" Michael demanded, fear lacing his words. He could barely breathe, every heartbeat reverberating in his ears. "Oh, it means so much more than you know." John chuckled, the sound grating against the silence. His companions shifted at his side, ready to pounce like predators waiting for the right moment. "Family secrets have a way of weaving themselves into the fabric of our lives. You're just now starting to understand how tightly knit they are." Lily clutched an hand, her small fingers trembling. "Mommy, I want to go home, baby, it's gonna be okay," and whispered, though her voice betrayed her. Michael could see the way her gaze flitted nervously from John to Joe and back, fear sparking in her eyes as she fought to present a brave front. Joe took a step closer, jaw clenched as he faced John. "Whatever is in that box, it doesn't concern you. We broke free from our past. Leave us be." John's expression flickered, a brief flash of something unreadable passing over his face. "You think you can outrun your history? I admire your delusion. But it's not that simple." He leaned in slightly, eyes narrowing, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You have no idea what you're risking by keeping that thing close." "Then tell me." Michael exploded, desperation fueling his anger. The prospect of unknown dangers felt more daunting than the threat of John himself. "What's in the box? What did you mean by secrets?" A moment of silence stretched thin, tension crackling like static before a storm. John leaned back, the smirk creeping across his lips again. "Let us just say the past has a way of clawing its way to the surface. And I hold the knife." Lightning flashed again, illuminating the tensions etched in their faces, painting everything in stark contrast. Michael's heart raced. Each pulse in his veins throbbed with a mix of anger and dread for what was to come. "Move aside, Joe," John ordered, voice dropping to a cold hiss. "I want to ask again. We're here for what's mine." He gestured dismissively to Michael's family as if they were obstacles, not people trembling under the weight of the situation. "No." Michael stood firm, stepping in front of Joe and Anne, instinctively shielding Lily. The boy inside him screamed to run, but his feet anchored him in place. Adrenaline surged through him. "You're not taking anything. Not from us." The circles of shadow behind John shifted, and for a brief second, Michael caught a fleeting glimpse of fear playing over John's smug facade. But it vanished as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by an unsettling calm. "Here's the thing, Mikey," John drawled, "I didn't come to take just anything. I came to reclaim what's mine." And believe me, the consequences of refusal will be catastrophic. Just leave us alone. An S voice, usually so steady, cracked. Michael stole a glance at her, at the fierce determination clashing with palpable fear. John laughed lightly, the kind of sound that sent chills racing down Michael's spine. You don't get to choose how this ends. You're tangled in this web whether you like it or not. Just then, an echoing clap of thunder caught everyone off guard. Joe took a cautiously aggressive step forward, fists clenched. This ends now. Their eyes locked, electrified in mutual challenge. The tension reached a breaking point. Michael's thoughts raced. Could he trust Joe? Could they really fight John and his minions? Or would they be left powerless as the family secrets consumed their resolve? In that split second, just as anger and fear converged into chaos, the storm roared louder, shaking the very ground beneath them. What truth awaited them in the heart of the tempest? What lay at the end of this confrontation? Would they uncover the dark secrets together? Or would this night be their end? Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were mere pawns in a more terrifying game and the rules were still being written. The storm's howl intensified, wrapping its fury around the group, each gust of wind threatening to rip them apart. Michael stood firm, heart racing, feeling the tremors of fear pulsate through every inch of him. But something deeper anchored him, a fierce need to protect his family. Why can't you just walk away, John? Joe barked, eyes glimmering with defiance. The crack in his voice revealed the cracks in his armor. Michael could sense the weight of their shared history in that single question, and it felt heavy like the dark clouds swirling above. Walk away, John echoed mockingly, rubbing his chin with exaggerated thoughtfulness. The wind picked up, sending a few scattered leaves into a chaotic dance around them. Not when there's so much unfinished business. You know, Joe, there's always been a reason you left, a reason I stayed. Stop, Michael shouted, unable to hold back any longer. Stop trying to twist things. What did you do? What happened back then? His voice cracked like thunder, fueled by a desperate need for clarity. John's eyes narrowed, finally revealing a flicker of irritation. Oh, Mikey, you're just a little boy playing at being a man. You think the past is cold and dead? Festers, my friend. You can only hide from it for so long. He glanced over at Lily, who pressed tighter against her mother, wide-eyed with fear. At that moment, everything seemed to freeze. The world narrowed until it was just Michael, his family, and the impending threat in front of them. The storm raged, but inside, he felt icy clarity settle like a weight on his chest. You won't hurt anyone, he declared, surprising even himself with the strength of his voice. Not anymore. John laughed again, a deep, rich sound that made Michael's stomach churn. Brave words from a scared boy. Tell me, do you have what it takes to protect them? To protect yourself? He took a step forward, drawing a line in the sand that Michael felt deep in his soul. Joe, we can't let him take anything from us. An's voice trembled, but she stood taller, resolute against the tempest that raged outside and within. Michael felt a surge of gratitude fill him, a warmth that stood defiantly against the chill. Look at them, John said, gesturing dismissively. Clinging to each other like that will only get you hurt. Even stronger than the storm itself, secrets can tear families apart. You wouldn't want to find out that this box of yours contains more than memories. Enough, Michael shouted, unable to contain his dread any longer. What does that even mean? John smirked, a glint of malice in his eyes. The box holds truths that you're not ready for. Truths that could unravel everything. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to dig up those secrets and see how deep the rot goes? No, Michael shouted again, more intensely this time, as if that word could solidify his resolve against the looming threat. Whatever's in there, it's mine to uncover. Not yours. The wind screamed as John's shadow shifted behind him. The tension felt electric, ready to snap. Michael felt the storm surge again, as if nature itself was echoing the turmoil inside. Just then, John's face grew deadly serious. Then let us see how this plays out. But mark my words, the truth is already on your doorstep. And when it arrives, it won't be a gentle knock. The air crackled, and the ground shook underfoot as the full wrath of the storm seemed poised to unleash. Michael forced himself to meet Joe's eyes, finding a flicker of understanding there, a bond forged in the fire of shared torment. They had to fight. What awaited them as the tempest roared overhead? Would they be able to face their past and find the courage to rise from the ashes? Or was there a darkness lurking, ready to engulf them all? In that moment, as thunder cracked like a whip, Michael felt time slow. The truth beckoned, shimmering in the eye of the storm, but would they be ready to face it? The universe felt heavy as Michael's heart thundered in his chest, drowning out the relentless wind. Every beat was a war drum, echoing the urgency to protect his family. He turned toward the dark outline of John, whose smug grin remained steadfast against the turmoil swirling around them, a stark imbalance against the chaos of nature. "Let us see how this plays out," Michael whispered under his breath, the words igniting a fire in his gut. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the intensity of the moment. "What do you want, John? Why can't you just leave us alone?" John leaned forward, his dark eyes shimmering with a sinister excitement. "What I want, Mikey, is very simple. I want you to realize that you can't hide from the truth. Not anymore." The wind wailed in agreement, whipping strands of hair across Michael's face, blurring the world into a whirlwind of noise and fear, and stepped closer to Michael, her hand finding his. It tightened around his, anchoring his resolve. "Whatever you're planning, John, it's not going to happen," she asserted, her voice a sliver of steel that sliced through the palpable tension. Despite the storm, John rolled his eyes, unfazed. "Oh, but it already has. The wheels were in motion long before this storm rolled in." He made a sweeping gesture as if to encompass the raging tempest. "Just look around. You're trapped in an emotional whirlwind, thinking you can hide from what you don't understand. You think a little box can keep you safe from the storm of your past?" In that moment it hit Michael like a lightning strike. He thought of the box stowed away in their attic, a box filled with secrets, dust, and memories that Joe insisted they never open. He felt a lump rise in his throat, a mix of dread and curiosity clawing at him. What could possibly be inside? And why would John want it so desperately? What is so special about a dusty old box? Joe chimed in, shooting a glance at Michael. "You've said it was nothing but old papers and forgotten trinkets." "Ah, but you're missing the point." John smirked, stepping closer, his presence looming like the storm clouds. "Every family has secrets, Joe. Each one waiting to be uncovered, just like that box of yours. And once opened, it can change everything." Michael's mind raced. "What do you mean? What's in there? Is that why you're here?" As the wind howled louder, John shook his head slowly, relishing the moment. "You think you're ready for truth?" he asked, his tone like a taunt. "How will you feel when you discover that certain truths, when revealed, come at a price? The wrong truth can tear you apart. Are you willing to pay that price?" The ground shook again, and the clouds seemed to roil violently overhead as if reflecting the storm brewing within Michael. He felt fear knot in his stomach. What if the unearthing of this truth pushed them all further apart? "Enough playing games," shouted Anne, her voice trembling slightly but fierce. "If you want that box, you'll have to go through me and Michael first. We will keep our family safe." John's laughter rang out like a bell tolling in the midst of chaos, filled with mockery and a hint of something darker. "Oh, I'd expect nothing less from the great protectors. But know this. The truth always finds a way to break through." In that instant, a blinding flash of lightning lit the sky, illuminating John's face in stark relief. The storm fully unleashed its fury, rain pelting down like icy daggers. The air crackled with unspoken threats and dire possibilities. Michael's chest tightened, and a frigid realization froze him in place. What if he's right? He thought, grappling with the implication of his question. Could they truly face what was hidden within the box? "Think, Mikey," John goaded, his voice a sibilant whisper carried by the wind. "Can you protect them from the truth? Your truth?" Suddenly, the ground rumbled beneath them, and a deafening crash echoed from nearby, flicking a switch in Michael's heart. They had to prepare. The storm was merely the backdrop for something much worse to come. What horrors awaited them at the eye of this storm? The moment hung fragile as glass, as they stared into the abyss of their pasts. Could they withstand the coming tempest? What would they uncover when the storm finally settled? The rain fell harder now, each drop impactful, a staccato rhythm against the earth. Michael's pulse quickened. He felt an grip tighten on his hand, an unspoken agreement pulsing between them. They had to stand together. With each gust of wind, each rumble of thunder, an unsettling sense of urgency crashed over them. It was as if the storm itself demanded they confront the reality they'd been trying to avoid. John's smile, taunting and gleeful, was something primal. You're stronger than you look, but strength doesn't mean you're immune to the truth. He glanced at the sky, clouds swirling above them like a dark maelstrom. And soon enough, you'll learn that some truths have a way of crawling back into your lives, even when buried deep. What do you know? Michael shot back, his voice hoarse from the crumbling tension. You think you can shake us with your words? You're just a voice on the wind. Ah, but I'm more than that, John cooed, stepping closer, his presence simmering with ominous energy. I'm the storm you never saw coming. Lightning split the sky again, illuminating the clearing around them. In its flash, Michael caught a glimpse of something behind John, a shadow moving, flickering like a wisp of smoke. Was it just his imagination, or was there more to this storm than he thought? And Joe, Michael started, his voice trembling slightly as he turned to them. We need to get back inside the house. The attic? No. John interrupted with such force that it sent chills down Michael's spine. That's exactly where you shouldn't go. Trust me, you think that box holds dark secrets? Just wait until you see what's waiting for you there. Michael fought to contain his anger. You don't dictate our lives, John. We'll face whatever is in that box together. Not you. The ground trembled again, more violently this time, and a rumbling tremor echoed a few yards away. Something in the distance seemed to collapse with a shattering crash. The wind howled, almost mocking their resolve, lifting the hair from Michael's neck, whispering warnings in his ear. Run, Michael! And screamed, suddenly terrified as another gust barreled through, pulling at her clothes like icy fingers. We have to get out of here. Stay together, he urged, but before they could turn toward the house, a deafening clap of thunder rolled overhead, completely drowning out his voice. It felt like the world was ending in that instant. A shadow loomed behind them, larger than life, a figure wreathed in chaos. Panic seized Michael's throat. What is that? He gasped, feeling a primal urge to flee, overcome by the need to protect his family. It's always been there, lurking, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Just like the truth in that box. Are you ready to learn what it truly means? John's voice was chilling, cutting through the ambient roar. Then, as if triggered by their fear, a deafening roar resonated from the clouds above. Michael's heart raced, every muscle coiling tight, ready to fight or flee. He glanced at Anne, her eyes bright with determination but clouded with uncertainty. Their world balanced on the edge of revelation and ruin. Suddenly, the ground split with a furious crack, as if the earth itself rebelled against the tension. And before they could react, they were standing at the threshold of their fate. The storm raged on, but within that chaos was a singular truth. Which was more terrifying, facing John's threats or uncovering the secrets of the box? As the winds howled louder, carrying their destiny with it, Michael knew one thing: something had to break. The storm would reveal all. And with it, the inbox demanded a reckoning that none of them expected. A low growl emanated from the shadows, sending a chill down his spine. Michael turned, eyes wide. What had they unleashed? What truly lurked behind the denial? The box. An voice broke through the tumult, urgent and fierce. Michael! Look! The dark shadow took form, and as realization dawned, a sense of dread washed over them. What awaited them when they finally turned that lock? And from the remnants of the storm, questions swirled. Would they withstand what came next? Would they uncover the truth or fall victim to it? The ground shook again, a violent quake that rocked Michael's senses. It wasn't just the storm anymore. This was something worse, something alive beneath the soil, the earth protesting, revealing all that had been hidden. Get inside now, Michael yelled, gripping Anne's arm as he pulled her toward the house. Fear painted her face with urgency, and Joe followed closely behind, eyes darting nervously. They sprinted toward the safety of the old structure, the battered house that held more than just their past. It held the weight of secrets. But before they reached the door, John's laughter sliced through the atmosphere like a knife. You think that house can protect you? He challenged, the shadows shifting with his dark delight. It's too late for safety, my friends. The storm brings more than rain. It brings clarity. Clarity. The word echoed in Michael's mind, intertwining with dread. What truths awaited them? He threw a glance over his shoulder, the figure standing resolute, half tangible, its form flickering in the streaks of lightning. Keep moving. Michael urged, shoving the door open. The scent of wet wood and old dust hit him like a wave. He could feel the weight of memories press down on him, filling the air thick with tension. Inside it was pitch dark, save for the sporadic flashes outside. They stumbled their way through, the house creaking around them like a living entity. Each sound amplified the thud of their heartbeats, the rustle of the wind, the distant crash of thunder. The attic. They had to go to the attic. "Joe, stay close," and shouted, her voice rising above the storm. "Don't wander off." They climbed the stairs, the rickety steps groaning beneath them, rattling Michael's nerves. The wind whipped around the house as if trying to pull them back, but they pressed on. Each roar of thunder felt like a countdown to some impending doom. Finally, at the top, the attic door stood ajar like a gaping mouth. Dim light filtered through the cracks, just enough to illuminate the dust motes swirling like tiny spirits. Michael hesitated at the threshold, his pulse racing wildly. "Open it," and insisted, her eyes locked onto the box resting in the center of the room, old, wooden, and weathered, a relic of memories long buried. But before he reached for the box, a chilling howl emanated from the depths of the shadows. It felt like fingers brushing against his neck, lifting the hair with fear. Something wasn't right. "Michael, we can't wait any longer," and said, her voice trembling, pulling him closer. "Whatever's in that box, it's time to face it." Panic surged through him. The voices of their past clawed at his thoughts, reminders of what they had tried to ignore. What if opening that box meant unleashing something they could never contain? He could almost hear the snickering of John, celebrating from the shadows. Instinct screamed at him to turn back. What if we regret this? But something in Anne's gaze locked him in place. Unyielding determination. "No more secrets," she asserted. "It's time." With a shaky breath, Michael reached for the box, heart thundering, as if the house itself was urging him to stop. He felt the weight of every decision he had ever made press down on him. Just as his fingers brushed the latch, a deafening crash resonated outside the house, like thunderclaps that shook the very walls. The shadows danced precariously, flickering as lightning illuminated the attic like a strobe. "What was that?" Joe squeaked, panic creeping into his tone. "Is something coming?" Before anyone could answer, the box creaked open, revealing darkness within. Suddenly, a flood of light erupted from its depths, blinding them momentarily. "Michael!" and screamed, her voice merging with the tempest outside. What lay inside? What truth would pour forth, threatening to shatter their fragile world? The storm was only the beginning. And now the real reckoning awaited. With bated breath, they leaned closer to the box, feeling the air itself crackle with potential. What horror or hope would spring forth and change everything? The storm raged on, but they would have to face it head-on. Would they be ready when the truth stormed into their lives? The light surged from the box like a tidal wave, consuming the dim attic and illuminating every shadow lurking in the corners. Michael squinted, his heart racing. The glow unveiled dusty books, faded photographs, and the scattered remnants of lives they barely knew. But what captured their attention was the golden envelope nestled at the bottom, radiating warmth and beckoning them closer. "Someone check it," Michael urged, stepping back slightly, heart pounding harder. The swirling storm outside raged against the shingles, but the air in the attic felt charged, electric. Lily, emboldened, stepped up first. "I'll do it, Daddy." She reached in, her small fingers trembling as they grasped the golden envelope tightly. Her innocent excitement mixed with the tenacity of the moment, a beacon of hope amid chaos. As she opened it, a breathless silence fell in the attic. The letter unfolded like a flower, revealing scrawled words that dripped with emotion. She began to read aloud, each syllable hanging in the air like a spell. "Dear family, if you're reading this letter, it means I have left you with a puzzle. Know that your past isn't a burden, but a gift with each word." Michael felt the weight of his grandfather's history pouring into the room. The stories unfolded a lineage filled with struggle, resilience, and hope. Tales of perseverance in the face of tragedy, tales that connected them to a legacy that transcended time. Lily's voice wrapped around them, weaving them into the story as if it belonged solely to them. And Anne's eyes shimmered as she softened, capturing glimpses of a past she had feared to confront. Joe stood by, holding his breath, memories of his own swirling like ghosts around him. The letter revealed the circumstances behind the darkness surrounding their family, the truth about John. There was an obligation to protect our own, and sometimes, those we love the most are the ones who become key to survival. Lily read aloud, her voice steady but laced with emotion. Tension cracked like thunder as the storm outside intensified, but Michael's heart felt lighter. They weren't just uncovering painful truths, they were reclaiming a part of themselves long thought buried under fear. Just then, a series of boisterous knocks echoed through the attic, breaking the delicate bubble of their moment. John's voice, hissing from somewhere outside, echoed through the walls, a promise of confrontation. "What have you done? How dare you look into that box?" Michael's heart raced again, confrontation looming closer. But this time, he felt fortified by the truth that lay before him. The letter didn't just bind them to the past. It armed them with understanding and empowerment. "Whatever happens now," Michael declared, turning to his family, "we face it together." His voice, deep and unwavering, echoed against the attic's walls like an unbreakable vow. With urgency he turned to the box. "We need to keep this letter safe. It's more than just paper. It's our link, our guide to healing." Joe nodded solemnly. "You're right, it's time we confront John. Shielding ourselves for too long has allowed this storm to brew. Fear can't control us anymore." The sound of thunder rumbled, and sudden gusts of wind howled outside. Michael took in Lily's hands, pulling them closer as he opened the attic door, determination igniting within them. They stood at the threshold of their confrontation, hearts beating to the drum of unity. The scene below was mayhem. John, flanked by shadows, awaited with anger etched in every contour of his face. "You think reading that letter changes anything?" he spat, eyes glimmering with fury and something deeper, fear. "It only digs your grave deeper." Michael stepped forward, his grip tightening around his family. "No, it doesn't end there. You've covered the truth in shadows for too long. But we're not afraid, not anymore. Family isn't just blood. It's love and it's respect for the past. We've learned this today." And squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes fierce. "You will not come near my family again. You may be our past, but you will not dictate our future." The shadows behind John shifted, tension climbing higher. They were facing more than just a man. They were confronting generations of fear, pain, and hurt. "You think you can just rewrite history?" John spat back, the edge of mania cutting through his voice. "You have no idea what you're embarking on." The dark veil of secrecy wrapped around him, and in it Michael sensed that John was slipping, losing his grip, the storm outside echoing the chaos inside. "We will face it head-on," Michael declared, clenching his fists. "We won't be trapped by the chains of fear and secrecy anymore. It's time we face the storm together, no hiding, no running. Together." It was clear now. They were stronger as a unit, the bonds tightening around them like roots. With each heartbeat, Michael could feel the stakes rise, the moment stretching into eternity. The wind howled anew outside, but it no longer felt like an enemy. It was an ally, reminding them that truth, while often terrifying, was also liberating. The storm sought to break them, but they would break the chains that had held them captive for so long. As they descended the stairs, ready to confront their past, Michael took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of his family at his side. The history was theirs to reclaim. The fight for their future began now, but it was a battle they would face armed with love, courage, and the truth that would echo for generations to come. This was the moment they transformed fear into strength, and each step down felt lighter. They would not lose to darkness today. They would break free from its clutches, emerging resolute into whatever awaited them outside. As they stepped into the storm together, Michael felt ready. He was ready to defend his family, ready to embrace the truth in all its complexity. Today was about change. Today they would rewrite their narrative. The storm raged on, but within the tempest resided hope, anew, a flickering light that would guide them through whatever shadows lay ahead. And so, as they moved toward a future unwritten, it was clear. The truth may shake them, but together they would remain unbroken. Now join us in sharing this journey. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Your support truly means everything.